we all played together in one room, like 30, 40 people. Strings, horns, trumpets, trombones, French horns, the whole string section, keyboards, 3 guitars, bass drums, all in one room, all at the same time, not this overdub stuff. And very little sound isolation. The room had square, parallel walls, no weird shapes, a linoleum floor, acoustical tile ceiling, and we just all played it right, early on. It wasn't, you didn't have to spend all day. If you didn't get it right away, they didn't call you back. I mean, that's the bottom line. And that, I think, more than anything, was the thing I got from the Curtis Institute, the attitude towards music. You do it right, and you do it right away, or you don't get called back. And that's what was going on with those sessions. It was really a lot of fun because we knew we were making hit records, and we would see the titles and we'd play them through, and we would try and guess the chart position, like how high is this one going to go? Is this one going to be number one? And we picked a lot of them. We picked Money Money and Love Train and some other things like that really did turn out to be big hits. So that was my trial by fire into the world of studio recording as a young student French horn player. It was a great opportunity because it was a new thing that was going on in music, the Philadelphia sound, with the whole string and horn thing added to R&B, which it was, that was going on in Motown as well in the 60s, but Philadelphia had kind of a little bit of a different slant on it. The players were wonderful. Tommy Bell, the way I understand it, he went out to clubs and he would listen to players, and he would just find these guys that really weren't schooled at all, but they had a great feel. And these are the guys that he wanted to play on these records. A bass player named Ronnie Baker, Earl Holmes on drums, Roland Chambers on guitar, Bobby Eli on guitar. Roland Chambers had a funny habit. He would lick his pick and stick it on his forehead so he wouldn't lose it. And so he'd be walking around with his pick stuck in the middle of his forehead.
Like a Hindu.
Yeah. But these guys weren't schooled, and Tommy Bell would have to come out in the studio and sort of coach them through these things sometimes, because they were writing some interesting things that hadn't really been done very much in R&B before, and things that these guys had not been called on to do before. I mean, we students, we string players and horn players could read and do this stuff like falling off the chair, but it was a little bit tougher for these guys. But they had such a great feel that was the important thing. So between the great feel of that rhythm section and the smooth, skillful, well-arranged horns and strings on top, it was a great combination.
Okay, how old are you now?
I will be 48 in 2 months.
Okay, and what do you make for a living now? You have a studio and you are producing TV?
Yeah, I am engaged to Sybil Shepherd. She's. Do you need him?
Yeah, it's for you.
Who is it?
It's Kevin.
It's Kevin.
Do you want me to take a message?
You want to take a minute?
Oh.
I need to go to the bathroom again.
Okay. So, about your current...
Oh, yes. I'm engaged to Sybil Shepherd, who is the star of the Sybil TV show, which is the top show on CBS. We met through music. I met her, I was called by someone who was in her band to come up and help put together a song that she was getting ready to do on The Tonight Show, which was sort of a gospel ballad, which is something that I do really well, and we met and have been together ever since. And I compose and perform the music for her TV show, which is not extensive. I mean, it's not a real music-intensive show, and it's not like a lot of underscore. It's usually just little transition things, like between scenes they'll show a shot panning across the San Fernando Valley, and they want like sort of jazzy R&B, Steely Danish kind of a little groove for a couple of seconds for that. So I do that in my studio at home. I sequence the drums. I'm a real good drum programmer. I love to do it. I used to enjoy, way back in the bar band days, there was an after-hours club that I used to go to where there was a band with 2 drummers. And I used to go up and sit on the second drum set. I couldn't play a fill to save my life, but I could play time, and I just really loved to play good, solid time. And having played for so many years with so many great players like Vinny and Chad and all these guys, I know what they do and how they do it. And I also know what happens in a symphony orchestra. I spent many years in the middle of 100 fabulous players playing oboes and violas and all this stuff. And so when it comes to sequencing things, I can do it in a way that makes it sound unsequenced. It makes it sound real. I really enjoy programming drums. You know, when a drummer goes to the chorus, you go to the ride, but the hi-hat doesn't stop. They keep working it with their foot, and I have a sample of a foot that I put in there. And in between the backbeats, the snare, you know, the stick is bouncing all over the place and doing all these other little in-between things, and I always put those things in as well to make it real. So it's fun for me in that way. I get to make things sound exactly as I want to. I've also worked with a lot of great bass players, and I like to put all these kind of double stops and slides and things in the bass sequences. And it's fun because I get to sort of create the signature sound of the show, which is primarily a nice funky groove and a saxophone guitar unison on a melody, which is something that, well, the Jazz Crusaders, in jazz it used to always be tenor and trumpet. And then when